Hi, my name's Rob Salter. Welcome to my channel. This is a place where we talk about mental and physical health. And little apology from me. I've not posted for a little while, and there's a good reason for that. I have been completely absorbed, I would say, in this book, The Ultimate Coach. And I'm going to talk about the effect that this book has had on me in this short video, and I'm going to focus on one particular area, and it involves a little bit of a story. So there was a period in my life not too long ago where I would be considered working poor. So I felt, in relative terms, that I had a severe lack of money in my life, even though I was working. What do I mean by that? I would be rooting through my spare change at the end of the month to see if I could afford to buy groceries. I had a very unhealthy relationship with debt, and I really didn't know what the way out was going to be. And really the reason that I'm telling this story now is because, as a result of some of the distinctions that I've been reading about in this book, I can now come to see that period of my life, looking back on it from relative wealth, I guess, at this point in my life, and I can begin to understand it in a really meaningful way to me. So the reason that this book is so powerful is because you are encouraged to read it right from the beginning, as if everything that was written in this book applies to you. So the book has been written about a guy called Steve Hardison, who's known as the Ultimate Coach, and it wasn't actually written by him. It was written by other people writing about him. Obviously he appears in the book, his clients appear in the book, but the book's not really about either him or his clients. It's about me, it's about you as the reader, because you are invited to read the book as if it were being written about you. And for some strange reason that I still don't quite understand, that makes it one of the most powerful books I've ever read. So the distinctions that I picked up from this book have kind of stayed with me through this tsunami of insights that I've had since I started reading it, I think two weeks ago. So I'm just going to talk about one point in the book, one distinction, and how it changed me. There is a point where Steve is describing a scene where he's working with one of his clients, and he says to his clients, I want you to do me a favor. I'd like you to go and pour me a cup of fear, please. The client looks at him like, what? And he says, well, okay, if you can't pour me a cup of fear, can you at least point to where the fear is so I can go and get some? And obviously, the client couldn't do that either. Why? Because fear does not exist outside of our thinking, outside of our minds. Now, this might sound like an obvious point, but it opened up a wormhole in my unconscious mind, which got me going on a series of thoughts. So one of Steve's clients, a guy called Dusan Dukic, I think is the right pronunciation of his name, and he wrote a book called Straight Line Leadership. Now, another quote from that book which really stayed with me was the following: you don't have a problem to solve, you have a decision to make. So when I put this idea of fear not being real together with this quote about problem solving, or problems in general, I realized problems aren't real either. You can't pour yourself a cup of problems. You can't go and find a problem in a room somewhere. A problem is created in your head as well. So how does this all tie up with the beginning of my story about poverty, if you like? So I thought of myself as someone who had a problem. I had a money problem, and I didn't know how to solve it. So what happened with my problem, my imaginary problem, was that I then created imaginary fears connected to my imaginary problem. Every time I got a threatening letter from a credit card company, anytime I was refused a loan, anytime I felt I was low on money, these fears would circulate in my mind, and they would make me feel that this problem was more and more real. The more real I felt my fears were, the more real I felt my problem was, the further away I wanted to get from it. So I ended up being in denial. I ended up procrastinating. I ended up doing nothing when actually I needed to take responsibility and take some action. And that led me here to YouTube, because 3-4 years ago I watched a random video from someone who had been in the exact same position as me. And what he was talking about was the idea that eventually he ended up taking responsibility for his problem, and he made a decision. He didn't have a problem to solve, he had a decision to make. He found out about a debt charity, and after watching his video I contacted a debt charity and they helped me to sort out my finances. I made a few other decisions that were really important, so I changed my job, I started budgeting, and I got myself out of the situation that I had been in. So what I'm sharing with you in this video is one very small insight that I've had among many insights that I've gleaned from this book. As I said earlier, it's unlike any other book I've ever read because of the way in which I read it. And I'm going to link to an interview that Steve Hardison gave about the writing of this book. And I'm going to make an offer to anybody watching this video that if you comment below, I will happily gift you a copy of this book. You can either reach me through the About section on my channel, or you can just leave a comment below and I will get in touch with you. And it's one of those things where you probably will want to yourself gift it to others. I've already started to do that with friends of mine. I hope that you'll feel the same way. And I really do hope that if you get a chance to get hold of this book and read it, and read it in the way that's been suggested, that you also will have some incredibly insightful and profound experiences. Enjoy.